Is called Sometimes Spider-Man Cries With Us. Sometimes the first memory we have of our father is when we're 6 years old and he swings into town to visit us on a random weekend. Sometimes we apprehensively sit beside this familiar stranger on that olive green couch in the living room. Sometimes a tang of ranch dressing dances on our tongue as bites of mama's hot wings fill the awkward moments where words were too petrified to come out. Sometimes it's the strings of the Spider-Man 2 theme that break the silence as the white Columbia Pictures lady shines a light into the living room. Sometimes we're pulled into a world where our greatest worries simply get webbed up or punched away. Sometimes in a room with both Spider-Man and our father, we feel the most safe. Sometimes a $5 blockbuster rental can warp reality and birth an everlasting moment in our soul. Sometimes reality smacks us in the face. Sometimes on that same weekend, our daddy leaves us again. Sometimes instead of facing the reality that our daddy ain't shit, sometimes we imagine him and Spidey made an unspoken agreement. Sometimes we tell ourselves that our dad agreed to handle Spider-Man's great responsibilities. Sometimes we tell ourselves that in turn, Spider-Man agreed to use his great power to raise us. Right. Sometimes Spider-Man alarm clock would wake us up for school every morning. Sometimes Spider-Man backpack would walk us to and from the bus stop. Sometimes Spider-Man cartoons watched us after school till mama got home. Sometimes Spider-Man video games sat under the Christmas tree, ready to take us on a field trip to a different Spider-Verse. Sometimes our father never comes back to visit us. Sometimes it feels easier to tell the other kids at school, our daddy is Spider-Man. Sometimes when dad was supposed to play catch with us, dad was busy catching pumpkin bombs from the Green Goblin. Sometimes when we were delivering speeches in the auditorium, dad was delivering babies from burning buildings. Sometimes when tears were free falling down our face, dad was free falling to save Mary Jane. Sometimes we have to wipe our own tears. Sometimes we keep it pushing. Sometimes dad never calls. So we shrug our shoulders and we say, duty calls type shit. Sometimes years later, we get on a plane to go visit our father. Sometimes Spider-Man comes with us to the fatherland. Sometimes on the plane, our Spider-Man comics read us. Sometimes they see the amalgamation of permanent fear, of mangled hope, of tranquilized rage, of begrudged love, of restless anxiety, of cavernous desperation, of emptiness that sits in the heart begging to be filled. Sometimes we put on a mask too. Sometimes we hide 17 years worth of resentment to keep the guilt of the family we never knew subdued. Sometimes we get ready